Hey guys, Andy here. So I've done a few videos on cycling and the tech that I use when I'm cycling. I thought I'd do one that kind of summarizes all of the tech that's on my bike. And I'll start off by declaring I'm not a bike expert by any means. I'm not a cycling expert. I know a bit about tech. So this video is kind of for you if you are similar to me. You just started cycling perhaps, or you're slightly into cycling, but you love tech and you want to know what gadgets you can add on to your bike. Then this video is for you. So I guess I should start off introducing the bike itself. It is a Canyon Endurace CF-SL. The CF and the SL stand for carbon fiber super light. It's got Di2 gears and it has disc brakes, as you can see. It's the aero version. If you want to look it up, it's the 2020 version as well. So what I'm thinking is just kind of go through the different bits of tech that I use on it. We'll start off with the cycle computer. That's kind of the brains of the whole thing, really, I guess. And I've got a Wahoo Element. Wahoo do a few different types of units. It's actually the oldest one, but I quite like the idea because it's a nice, big, visible screen, nice and clear. It is black and white. It's not touchscreen. It's got buttons, 3 buttons along the base, and a volume. Well, not volumes, so kind of up and down rocker on the right and a power button on the left. They're all easily found, they're nice and prominent, they're sort of rubberized, and they have a bit of a click when you press them. So, amongst other things, the reason for having this, it just gives you lots of great information while you're cycling. Now, some people will tell you that you shouldn't really worry about that, you shouldn't bother with that. I don't know, it kind of drives me, I suppose, if I'm honest. Being able to see things like, well, how long my ride is, how many miles I've done, my current speed, in this case, the power, which we'll come to shortly, heart rates, and averages and things. It's just really helpful. Throw in the fact that it has live segments. So when I go into a segment that I've starred on Strava, it will tell me if I'm ahead or behind of my PR. And that, again, for me, that's just a massive driver. If I can see I'm, I don't know, 2 seconds ahead of my current PR, or a second behind, or 2 seconds behind, it really drives me to push that bit harder, that bit faster, because I'm just that competitive kind of person, even when I'm competing against myself. There are various different mounts that you can use. This is sort of Canyon's official mount, if you like. And like I said, that's kind of what everything goes through on the bike. We're going to move on to the Shimano Volta unit here. So it does have disc brakes, and in fact, if we come down and have a quick look at the disc brakes, you can see they're vented as well. That's, well, not vented, yeah, I don't know actually what you call it. It's got sort of got like aerofoil bits on the inside of them. I guess that's just for sort of better aerodynamics. But then the other big thing with these are they are Di2. So you change gears with these 2 buttons if you didn't know. One goes up, one goes down. This side does the back gears, and then the front gears are done over on this side. But with Di2, I've got it set up at the moment that as I go up and down through these gears, it will automatically adjust the front if it needs to. So the Di2 is basically digital gears. It's all very clever. In fact, you can hear it. It's not, so regular mechanical gears, as you press this lever, it pulls a cable somewhere which pulls with one of the derailleurs and moves the cable. But this is all digital, so if I press this, I don't know if you can hear that, but let's watch at the back. It's all digital, it goes zzz, 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 zzz. So, I mean, it just makes it so much more responsive, so much quicker, it feels more precise than mechanical gearing that I've used in the past. And as I say, it's clever. So as you move the back, as the chain moves at the back there, quite often on bikes you can have the chain catch on this one, but this now moves with the chain, even if you're not adjusting this yourself. Again, it's all done kind of through the digital aspect. It's just a bit clever, basically. It will move that so it doesn't catch. So really very clever. Now, one thing to bear in mind, you have a few different sort of a junction box here, which on the back side is where you plug into it, because you will need to charge it. It does take battery, but I've been riding for a couple of weeks and I think it was still about 100% when I last looked. The battery on my bike is somewhere in here. A lot of them apparently have them in the seat post, but because this has got a split seat post, you can't put the battery inside it. So it's somewhere in there. The other thing, so this little box just here is basically kind of like a wireless unit. So for it to connect into my head unit, you need this wireless unit, which is what lets it connect in, I think, via AMP Plus, I forget now actually. That was about £60, it's the official part. Now, there's quite a few sort of horror stories about it being patched and updated, in that when you first try and update it, it will just balk halfway through and you're left with kind of a bricked bike. So therefore you can't change gears or anything. You have to disconnect the battery, which, as I've said, is somewhere in there. And quite honestly, I have no idea how I would get to that. But when I put this in line with the rest of the unit, I just plugged that into my PC with the cable provided and it patched up as normal. So just do that and then connect in your phone to this unit to set everything up as you might want it. So that's the brace, the gears, we're in the brace the front. Let's have a look. Do you see this down here, look? So that whole crank is basically a power meter. I couldn't tell you how they work exactly, but it can measure how much power you're putting through the pedals basically, which again connects in up through the unit here, and that one at the top there, W3 seconds, that means it's the watts average over the last 3 seconds. I do have at the bottom average watts for the entire ride. You can have average watts for 5 seconds, 20 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, loads of different options. You can customize that screen on the cycle computer however you want it. If you weren't aware, basically watts is how the power of your cycling is measured. You get various different types. You can get ones that sort of they're in the pedals. So you get different pedals which have sensors in and they measure your watts. And in some ways that would be the preference because you can swap them from bike to bike. But the problem being the best ones look to be the Garmin Vector 3s, but there's so many reports of them being buggy and disconnecting and just being a pain in the bum. And about £600. I don't want to spend £600 something that might be buggy and a pain in the bum. Whereas this crank was just over £300, and it is only one-sided, because if you've got double-sided, so you get the Vector 3s, you can get a pedal on each side and it can give you different power readings for each foot, which actually could be quite handy. If you realise that your left foot or your left leg is not as powerful as your right, you can sort of work on that, I suppose. And that's actually the sort of the latest bit of tech that I've bought. So when I say the latest, it's the last, I suppose. So I didn't bother with it for a long, long time because I don't know, I just didn't really see the benefits of it. But a couple of weeks ago, I finally decided, after having got this bike, do you know what, let's get power as well. And what it's useful for is pacing yourself, I suppose. So you might say, and what I mean is not pushing too hard or pushing the right amount. Now you might use your heart rate to know that. But the problem is your heart rate is kind of, I don't know, it's a delayed reaction, isn't it? If you push really hard, it's going to take 10 or 15 seconds and your heart rate starts going up. That could be too late. Whereas the watts is instant. You start pushing hard, straight away you can see how many watts you're kicking out. So it's quite handy in that respect. So when I commute to work, I've decided, right, I don't want to go over about 230 watts. So when I start going uphill and I see it going up to 300 watts, I can drop a couple of gears, ease off a little bit, and try and hopefully not sweat my ass off before I start work. So yeah, quite handy, a power meter. And then if we come to the very back here, that rear light is not just a rear light, it's actually a radar. So when it's on, it can detect multiple cars. I forget if it's up to 8 or 11 or something like that, from quite a long distance, sort of 400 plus meters. I realize I'm talking about now, I just should have double checked the actual specs. But basically, again, this connects into the cycle computer. And when it's on, you get a track down the left-hand side, which will show cars. As they approach, they appear at the bottom, And then gradually, as they get nearer and nearer and nearer to you, they're coming up, and again, you'll see multiple cars until they pass you, obviously then they're no longer on the screen. Now, again, you might say, well, just look behind you. It's not that hard, but it's just really handy. It's just really handy. You have to glance down to check, because riding around London, it's quite loud at times, quite busy, and you can't always just hear if there's a car behind you, but if you've got this radar, you can have a quick glance and you'll see if there's a car behind you and how close it is. So really quite handy. I think that's pretty much all of the tech involved. I should give some prices, I suppose, as well, because I didn't really mention. So working backwards, so the light is about £130 to £150. I'll try and put some links down below, because again, actually, what is it called? You see it in the back there. The power meter, I think I mentioned, I think I paid $340. You can get cheaper ones. You need to make sure you get the correct compatible crank though for your bike. The Di2 is all built in, but the wireless unit was about 60 to 70 pounds. The Wahoo cycle computer, to be honest, it's been a while since I bought that. I think that's about 180, 190 to 200, but the other versions you can go up to about 300 now. So there you go. Hopefully that video has been a little bit useful or interesting. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you know of any other gadgetry that I'm missing out on, like tire pressure monitors. Can you get them for bicycles? That'd be quite handy. That'd be quite cool. Because again, you want to keep your tires at the right pressure for optimal speed. And I don't know, I just don't have to keep checking them every time I go out to ride. So tire pressure monitors would be cool. Maybe I should have a look into that. But yeah, let me know if you know of any of the tech. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you want more cycling content. But for now, my name's Andy, and I'll catch you all again soon.